Have you ever walked into a room and instantly decided who you liked and who you didn't before they even said a word? You called it intuition. You told yourself you're just good at reading people. But what if in that exact moment you weren't reading them at all? You were revealing yourself? The irritation you feel toward confident people, the quiet jealousy that rises around someone disciplined, the distrust you feel toward someone calm and reserved. What if those reactions have nothing to do with them and everything to do with the parts of you that you've buried? This is where it gets uncomfortable, because today we're stepping into the mind of Carl Jung, not the motivational quote version, but the psychological surgeon who believed that until you confront your own shadow, you will constantly misjudge everyone around you. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. If you're ready to understand people in a way that makes manipulation obvious and self-deception impossible, subscribe to Rational Chaos. This channel isn't about comfort, it's about clarity. Now let's begin. Number 1, the shadow always leaks. Jung said every human carries a shadow, the parts of yourself you rejected in order to be accepted. As a child, you learned quickly which traits brought approval and which brought punishment. Maybe you were told anger is bad. Maybe confidence was called arrogance. Maybe vulnerability was mocked. So you buried those traits. You pushed them down. But here's the truth Jung warned about. What you suppress does not disappear. It waits, and it leaks. It leaks through irritation, through judgment, through overreactions. Have you ever met someone who constantly complains about fake people, yet performs a personality in every room? Or someone who criticizes selfishness while demanding constant emotional attention? The shadow doesn't hide quietly. It projects itself outward. The traits you attack most aggressively in others often exist inside you, unexamined. If you want to read someone instantly, watch what disturbs them emotionally. Their triggers are fingerprints of their shadow. Number 2, the persona is a survival mask. Jung said we all wear a persona, a social mask designed to help us function in the world. It's the composed version of you at work, the confident version in public, the easygoing version around friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need some level of polish to survive socially. The problem begins when the mask becomes the identity, when someone forgets who they are underneath the performance. Think about the person who is always the strong one. They never break down, never admit confusion, never show vulnerability. On the outside, they look solid. But when real pressure hits, they fall apart in private. Why? Because their strength was an image, not something integrated. The persona lives for approval and fears rejection. So when someone overreacts to small criticism or takes feedback as a personal attack, you're not seeing confidence disappear, you're watching the mask crack. Number 3, projection is a confession in disguise. Jung believed projection is the mind's escape from self-confrontation. It's automatic and happens more often than we realize. Whatever someone refuses to face within themselves, they start seeing in others. The insecure person accuses others of seeking attention. The dishonest one becomes obsessed with loyalty. The controlling person constantly warns you about manipulators. It sounds ironic until you see it in real life. Notice the person who keeps calling others arrogant. Often they're battling their own inadequacy. Or the partner who is suspicious without reason. Sometimes it's their own hidden impulses they don't trust. Projection protects the ego from shame. Instead of saying, I struggle with this, the mind shifts it outward. You are the problem. And the stronger the accusation, the deeper the inner conflict. Once you understand this, criticism feels less personal. You stop reacting and start observing. You ask, what are they avoiding in themselves? And that question turns emotional noise into psychological insight. Number 4, triggers reveal wounds. Most people believe their reactions are justified and logical. Jung disagreed. He believed that strong emotional reactions are rarely about the present moment. They are echoes of the past. If someone reacts intensely to being ignored, maybe they were once invisible. If someone explodes at small mistakes, maybe they were punished harshly growing up. Triggers are not personality traits. They are unresolved memories. And unconscious people are controlled by them. The moment something touches an old wound, they respond automatically. No pause, no reflection, just reaction. The person who has done inner work, however, creates space between stimulus and response. They feel the trigger, but they don't become it. Emotional control is not suppression, it's awareness. And awareness is rare.
Number 5, what people chase obsessively reveals what they lack. Jung understood compensation deeply. The human psyche seeks balance. If someone feels small internally, they may overcompensate externally. This is why you'll see people obsessively chasing status, admiration, control, or validation. Not because they're evil, but because they're empty in that area. The man who constantly boasts may secretly doubt himself. The woman who posts endless proof of happiness may fear being unseen. The person obsessed with power may fear vulnerability. When someone is internally secure, they don't chase external proof aggressively. They express, they don't compensate. If you want to understand someone's hidden insecurity, observe what they pursue with desperation. Number 6, relationships. Expose unfinished psychological patterns. Jung believed we are unconsciously drawn to people who mirror our unresolved issues. If someone repeatedly falls for emotionally unavailable partners, that pattern isn't coincidence, it's familiarity. The psyche chooses what feels known, even if it hurts. A person raised in chaos may feel bored in stability. Someone who had to earn love may feel uncomfortable receiving it freely. We don't just choose partners, we choose psychological mirrors. If you want to read someone deeply, don't just listen to what they say they want in relationships. Study what they repeatedly tolerate. Patterns are more honest than promises.
Number 7. The ego fights to survive. The ego is not evil, it is protective. It wants identity, stability, control. But when threatened, it becomes aggressive. Notice how some people cannot admit they're wrong. They deflect, they interrupt, they change the subject, they attack tone instead of argument. Why? Because being wrong threatens their identity. Secure people adjust when presented with new information. Fragile egos defend. The intensity of someone's defensiveness reveals the fragility of their self-concept. Calm correction is strength. Explosive defense is fear. Number 8. Silence speaks louder than words. Jung paid attention to avoidance. What topic makes someone uncomfortable? What question receives a rehearsed answer? What subject changes the energy in the room? Avoidance protects vulnerability. A person who laughs off serious conversations repeatedly may be guarding pain. Someone who intellectualizes every emotional discussion may fear feeling deeply. Words can be crafted, silence cannot. If you want to read someone instantly, don't just listen to what they emphasize. Notice what they cannot sit with. Number 9. Most people fear their own potential. Jung believed that becoming your true self, what he called individuation, isn't comfortable. It means facing the parts of you that you've ignored, dropping the fake roles you've been playing, and accepting that you are more complex than you pretend to be. And that process is scary, because real growth feels like losing who you used to be. The version of you that people praised might have to change. The safe identity you built to fit in might have to fall apart. So what do most people do? They delay, they procrastinate, they play small. Not because they're incapable, but because stepping into their full potential means taking full responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. It removes excuses, it removes blame, it forces you to admit that you can do more. Potential isn't frightening because it's impossible. It's frightening because it's possible. And once you see that, you can't hide from it anymore. Number 10. Until you confront yourself, you will misread everyone. This is Jung's ultimate warning. If you haven't faced your own jealousy, you will see jealousy everywhere. If you haven't healed abandonment, you will interpret distance as rejection. If you haven't accepted your aggression, you will fear assertive people. The world becomes a projection screen for your unconscious mind. True psychological strength comes from integration, acknowledging your darkness without being ruled by it. When you accept your shadow, your triggers weaken. When you detach from your persona, criticism loses power. When you own your projections, relationships become clearer. And suddenly, you stop reacting blindly. You start responding consciously. And conscious people are extremely difficult to manipulate. Now pause for a moment. Which of these truths made you uncomfortable? Because discomfort is not an attack, it's information. Carl Jung didn't teach us to eliminate darkness. He taught us to integrate it, to see it, to understand it, to own it. Because once you do, something powerful happens. You stop blaming, You stop projecting. You stop chasing approval. You become steady, and steady people are untouchable. If this changed how you see others or yourself, comment below which truth hit you the hardest. And if you're ready to keep developing psychological awareness most people avoid, subscribe to Rational Chaos. Because once you learn to see clearly, you never go back to blindness.